Good afternoon, grade 8 students. In the previous video, we studied the gas exchange between the alveoli and the blood, also between the blood and body cells. In today's lesson, we're going to apply what we studied in an exercise. Please copy all the notes, sit back, pay attention, and enjoy the session. For further information, do not hesitate to contact me. This worksheet will be given to you when we come back to school. Exercise number 1. Cellular respiration. Always read and understand the title and relate it to your knowledge. What does this title refer to? It refers to the respiration or gas exchange that occurs in the cells. Cells consume oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Now you read the exercise very carefully and slowly. The table below shows the variation of the concentration of oxygen and carbon dioxide during the degradation of glucose in an animal cell. In other words, we are measuring the quantity of oxygen and carbon dioxide when the cell degrades glucose. Observe well the table. What do you notice? We notice that there are two concentrations, one for oxygen and the other for carbon dioxide. After 4 minutes, the quantity of oxygen decreases, which shows that oxygen is being consumed by the cell. On the other hand, the quantity of carbon dioxide increases after 4 minutes, which means that carbon dioxide is being released by the cell. Now, let's answer number 1. Based on the document, represent on the same graph the different values which show the variation of the concentration of oxygen and carbon dioxide as a function of time. Determine the variables on both the x and y axis. The title of a graph is always written as the variation of y as a function of x. In this case, it is the variation of the concentration of oxygen and carbon dioxide as a function of time. By a simple comparison, the variable on x is the time, while the variable on y is the concentration of both oxygen and carbon dioxide. If you forget this, note that in a table the variable x is always located on top of y. After that, choose the scale on the y-axis. See the numbers: 10.5, 9.5, 8.5, 7.5, 6.5. The difference is 1. So you can take that every 1 centimeter or every 1 square on the y-axis represents 1 milligram per liter, because here we are talking about the concentrations. See the time: 0 minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. So the difference is 1. You can choose that every 1 square or 1 centimeter on the x-axis represents 1 minute. The next step is to put the numbers on the graph based on the scale. On the x-axis, we took that every 1 square represents 1 minute. So every 1 square, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. However, on the y-axis, we also took that every 1 square represents 1 milligram per liter. So you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, because the maximum concentration is 10.5. So you must reach 11. Do not forget the scale. Like this, you should write it. The time and its unit, minute. The concentration and its unit, milligram per liter. Start first plotting the curve showing the concentration of carbon dioxide. When you finish, start again plotting the curve showing the concentration of oxygen. Use a ruler, please. Finally, write a title: a graph showing the variation of y as a function of x. So a graph showing the variation of the concentration of oxygen and carbon dioxide as a function of time. After plotting the two curves, we notice that during the degradation of glucose in an animal cell, the concentration of oxygen decreases while that of carbon dioxide increases. These are happening during the degradation of glucose. Number 2, analyze the graph. What can you conclude? When you are writing the analysis, please don't use the word become. You should tell me if the curve is increasing or decreasing. A small reminder that these two concentrations are being measured during the degradation of glucose, so you should mention this during the analysis. Analyze the graph. At time 0 minute, during the degradation of glucose in an animal cell, the concentration of carbon dioxide is 6.5 milligram per liter, while that of oxygen is 10.5 milligram per liter. As the time increases to 4 minutes, the concentration of oxygen decreases to 6.5 milligram per liter, while that of carbon dioxide increases to 8.5 milligram per liter. What can you conclude? I conclude that during the degradation of glucose in an animal cell, the cell consumes oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Question number 3. Name the reaction of the degradation of glucose in the presence of oxygen. What do we call the reaction by which cells consume nutrients and oxygen to produce waste and energy? This is the oxidation reaction. In this exercise, glucose is the nutrient. Okay? When the oxygen is being consumed, the oxygen decreases, and carbon dioxide is an example of a waste. Please, I want you to repeat the exercise on your copybook and do this as a homework. Thank you and see you.